So what I'm going to talk about today is, I have 10 minutes to talk about my 30 years of work. I'm going to try to connect some of the dots, some of the puzzles, I've been going through since my childhood. So my topic is, you can see, connecting conservation, communities, and commerce. The commerce means tourism and recreation and those things. I started my career as a park ranger in Nepal, where I grew up in the foothills of the Himalaya. And this is Chitwan National Park. Anybody been to Chitwan National Park? No? At least one person, yeah. Chitwan National Park is very popular national park in terms of biodiversity. They have 100 rhinoceros. This is the second largest population of 100 rhinoceros in the world. These are vulnerable species. But if you look at, there are two kids watching the rhinos. And if you ask them what it means, nothing, right? So I asked where their dad or mom were, and I found their dad. And I asked them, there are some tourists watching rhinos, and I talked to him what it means to him. And he said, nothing. These rhinos are nothing for him. They are actually pests. They are destroying their crops. So he showed me some of the watchtowers he built to protect his crops from rhinos and other animals. And I was in South Africa a few months ago, and with the same issues. They have beautiful animals, lions and giraffes and zebras, black rhinos, white rhinos. They have communities around these parks. These communities are not connected with the park. There's a huge electric fence between the park and the communities. And this is not foreign. This is here too. Can you guess where this place is? It's a Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument, Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument in southern Utah. So I had a project in Utah and recently, and I went there and talked to communities, 16 communities around the monument, and the issues were not very different. They didn't like the monument because they lost some of the economic opportunities they had, mining and logging and things like that. So, if you drive through these communities, they see these monuments and conservation areas and parks as a barrier to the economic development. So my task was, trying to find out where are the connections. If we don't have the connections, we can't preserve our parks. We can't protect our parks. So I came up with this blank triangle where community, public lands, and tourism, they are the three triangles that in the three corners. And we had several focus group meetings, and I have a wonderful graduate assistant who helped me with my project, and she works for Arizona State Parks now. And we gave this blank triangle, and you cannot imagine what we came up with. These are the connections we found out. These are not the connections we came up with. These are the connections people came up with, the people who didn't see the benefits of parks. Now you can see what benefits they were getting. I'm sorry, the fonts are too small because we couldn't fit everything within a page. You can look at the connections between public lands and local communities. Local communities get social benefits from parks, including community pride, preservation of heritage, attract new residents, recreational opportunities, hiking, biking, ATVs. They receive educational benefits, natural and cultural history, geology, economic benefits, employment, rental, taxes, real estate values, ecosystem services, watershed, clean air, dark sky, and emergency services. And you can see the arrows going both ways, not just one way. Public lands also receive benefits from communities because in our meetings we had some public land managers and employees as well. So they provide human resources for agencies. Communities provide human resources for agencies. Volunteers, they support infrastructure. stewardship and partnership, donations, emergency services. So, I don't want to take too much time, but this report is available online. I can give you a link to go through this report, over 100 pages report, but we came up with these linkages. And we also looked at, we found out something interesting. One is, if you look at people who are conservation-minded, who want to preserve lands, and agencies whose goal is to protect land, they are always going for conservation, conservation, conservation. Whereas, look at the communities, gateway communities living around these parks, they are all for economic development. They want jobs, they want economic development. It doesn't matter from how they can get these jobs, extractive industries or anything. And these are the simple answers. They always want quick jobs through extractive industries. Both of these extremes are tough to bring together. So what we found out interesting was, there is something common between these two groups, that the common is the multiple use of these lands through recreation and tourism. So the recreation and tourism was the common language we could use that would bring two groups of people together. These are the protected area around the world, not just the US. There are 34 million acres of land protected under protected areas. And there are 160,000 protected areas. So these protected areas, they protect 8% of the land. But most of these lands are not accessible to people. These are remote areas. They are not accessible to the urban population. One of the challenges I see is these parks are treated as Eiffel Tower. I'm going to go once and never go again. That's a huge problem because we can't connect with people if they just go once and never go back again. And urban parks and preserves could serve that purpose. And I'm going to ask you, the audience, how do you connect? I think the connection is the most important piece I found out, and I want you to think, how do you connect with your public land? And another challenge we have is the next generation. Our children and grandchildren, they're not going to use the park the way we are using today. They won't be hiking the same way we hike. They won't be camping the way we hike today. So their needs should be different. So our most important challenges would be, how do we connect our children to the public lands? With that, thank you so much.